And now, here are your hosts, the Schnitzel Boys.
Um, Want to talk a little Germany World Cup? I mean, not a lot, not really a whole lot to say about it. Germany already qualified, played Liechtenstein, and that game was
Yeah,
kind
there's
of
very
over.
little,
That game was
very
over
little to talk
before it
about.
began. Liechtenstein had a player sent off 10 minutes in, and then the
Crazy
floodgates.
kick to the neck.
Yeah,
I missed. I started watching like 10 minutes in, and then I just saw Goretzka with a crazy. He just had blood all over his neck. I'm like, what the heck happened? And I saw the replay. Dirty, 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 dirty. I mean, it was a mistake of a tackle, I guess, but
yeah.
like
It
freaking
looked clumsy
cleat
more
straight to
than
his neck,
clumsy
straight
more
red
than
card.
intentional, but yeah. No, it was, and then it was kind of disappointing. It looked like for a moment it looked like Gundogan alone was going to score a half dozen goals and everybody was going to get some, but then there was a lot of kind of, I mean, it's you don't often say that a 9-0 result is flattering for a team, but it's, I think Liechtenstein got a little lucky. Could have
Well,
gotten a lot, could have been a lot worse for them.
that's a bigger issue. Europe has San Marino, Liechtenstein, Faroe Islands, all these micronations that go up against Germany, Italy, and France. It's like in the United States, we don't do that. We have what's called a pre-qualifier. So Guyana and all these, like Guyana can't, they can't field a professional team. They're all dock workers that play soccer on the weekends. And Liechtenstein's the same thing. Little history lesson. Germany and Liechtenstein are in the group all the time. It's always Germany beat up Liechtenstein.
Yeah, it's happened
time.
frequently. Yeah,
It happens all the time. I remember years ago, I think the first game I watched, it was like 8-2, and that was bad Germany. It was like 1999's Germany. That was like a bad German squad beating them 8-2. Liechtenstein is a tiny micronation, quote unquote, but it's like Swiss territory. I think I should probably have Googled the history ahead of time. It was a gift to German royalty, a guy named Liechtenstein, Baron von Liechtenstein or something like that. As a gift, they gave him this castle and this land. And he is like, great thing. He never visited it. Liechtenstein never, ever went to Liechtenstein. He died never having visited his gift.
the
So
irony.
that whole area, the irony, typical old European royalty, those crazy hounds. But so that there's small Swiss territory. I think within Liechtenstein, the city is called Vaduz, right? And there's a club called FC Vaduz, which competes in the Swiss league system. I think they're even a second division Swiss club, I think. Maybe even a third division Swiss club. But that club, which is the equivalent of like a Brooklyn, like semi-pro, like after-school amateur club.
Does not
is
employ
what
any Liechtensteiners.
Exactly. Well, that's what they're pulling from. They're pulling from that one semi-pro club, and that's what makes the Liechtensteiner national team. Do you think it's fair for them to play the four-time world champions Germany every freaking 2 years?
Well, I think
Just to wait, like those poor guys.
I agree with you, and I think the Nations League, right, is an attempt to address this. The Nations League has these different tiers and promotion and relegation between them, and so then the Liechtensteins and the San Marinos and the Luxembourgs and the Faroe Islands can sort of
Hang out.
can crown the king of the minions in the tier 4 of the Nations League. So yeah, I think that is a problem, and it's also, like, Germany then went on to beat Armenia 4-1 in the second game, and then kind of, the headline I saw afterwards, Hansi Flick is saying we're back now that after this year in 2021, and really, are we back? We'll see. I don't know. It's not until you don't know. The Armenia and Liechtenstein are not the benchmarks of whether or not we're back, and so, but we really won't know until the World Cup, and probably even then, depending on what the draw is, we won't know until perhaps the later rounds. And because Germany really has a history of this, right? The German national team of being, I guess, some sort of flat track bully of, like, we beat up the little guys in qualification, and then,
well, it's not their fault. They're thrown in. Like, the European qualification was 10 groups this year, groups of 5. I just looked through it. And it was, every group was like one giant, one decent, and then a bunch of minnows.
Well,
talented players.
All right.
But either or, Germany beat 9-0, 4-1. Hansi Flick is the first German coach in history to win 6 of his first games, I believe. So technically, he's on a very great record. But you're right. I remember back when I rooted for Germany in the 90s and the aughts and Germany had, I think it was 6, 7, 8 years. Germany had never beaten like a world power. You know what I mean? Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Like the first world power they beat was they finally beat Argentina in the 06 World Cup on penalties. But up until that point, they never really beat any other world powers. They kept tying or losing them. So, we still haven't seen them play against a France or an England or a Switzerland, which won the group over Italy, or the mighty Serbia. When Germany can beat Serbia, we know we're in good shape.
Serbia is the new it's the new
Well,
the new litmus test.
They lost to North Macedonia, lest we forget.
That was still under Yogi. Yeah.
Yogi.
And we won't know until next year at this World Cup.
What are they going to do for the next year? Do they have another Nations League, friendlies lined up? Germany has 12 months till the World Cup starts. What are they going to do?
Yeah, I think the Nations League starts, right? Because they have to start qualifying, because they can't start usually they would start qualifying in the fall for the Euro. So they have to start before that. So there's Nations League and there's other stuff. No worries. There is always going to be more foosball.
Yeah, they're gonna play Austria over and over and over again.
You want to talk you want to talk about this whole COVID situation? That was a bit of a pre-Liechtenstein kerfuffle. I mean, obviously because these games didn't really matter because Germany was already qualified. This wasn't as big a deal as it could have been. But
Joshua was tested positive, and then Kimmich is not vaxxed. And they're not releasing the names of the other players that had to isolate. I think there is a little bit of I think multiple players are unvaxxed, and they're trying to keep it quiet.
I thought it was, the way I read it was that because Kimmich, there's categories of risk, right? This is Germany, obviously, so there's documents and very categories and rules. And so the way I understood it, not to get too much into the weeds here, the way I understood it is the fact that Kimmich is not vaccinated made his closer contacts higher risks because of that. So Kimmich not being vaccinated made it necessary for 5 players to quarantine and not be part of this when otherwise it would have just been him. And so there was some talk as to if during this World Cup, maybe only if you are vaccinated or have recovered from COVID can you be on the squad. That's something to be discussed. And so that would
I'm fine with that.
That would leave Kimmich out potentially, and he gets to hang.
He just needs to go get a shot. He said he'll get a shot. He just doesn't want to, but if he's forced to, I'm sure he will. But the here in the United States, and I'm sure in a lot of other places, there's it's done privately. Where I work, we have to hand in our vax card. And there's a huge push for everyone to be vaccinated, and it's done privately because it's within their rights. The private company do something like that. So for the German national team or for FIFA, the government can't force them to do it, but the confederations can. I don't see why the federations can't. So it'd be like, if you want to play for the national team, we have a policy. You got to get vaxxed. It'd be like saying, all right, everybody, it's flu season, go get your flu shot, and if you don't get your flu shot, you can't play. I don't see the big deal with that. Just go get your flu shot. Go get your vaccine shot.
Well, I mean, people get very worked up about vaccine mandates. Right? If you have children in public school or preschool in New York City, you are subject to all sorts of vaccination mandates. So this is not, for me, this is not a new thing. And same in Germany, actually. You have to. It's if you want to go to school, you have to get certain. So this is. Some people are surprised by this whole idea, and for
if you want to travel,
if
you want to go to, say, Brazil and live there for 5 years like I did, you have to have 6 different shots, and you have to have a shot card, immunization card. So if you want to go to, say, I don't know, the Middle East, you probably have to get vaccinated. You probably have to have some sort of vax package of things that only exist in the Middle East. God knows what it is. You know, like you have to get. If you go to South America, you have to get shot for yellow fever, man. That's just how that works.
That's how it is. Yeah.
Why not?
When I sort of read about this and dug into it, what I thought was interesting compared to the U.S. is that in Germany they're very much, you know, if you are recovered from COVID, it sort of counts as much as being vaccinated in certain ways, because you have these antibodies and which by certain studies are more powerful than the vaccine. So I thought that was interesting. So in Germany it's geimpft. The mystery.
Is it so that when you are formally recovered of the thing, it is stronger than a vaccine? Who knows? Next on Unsolved Mysteries. Sorry,
Well,
sometimes when I don't play a drop, it's like, it's drop time.
It's just
in Brazil, I keep invoking Brazil a lot, but in Brazil there is a resort that you can only go to if you are a recoverer of COVID. Mm-hmm. If you've had COVID, you can go to this resort because according to them, you're then technically immune, which certain research, like especially in Korea, has debunked. However,
oh really? Okay.
it was debunked months ago. People get COVID twice. Plenty of people have gotten
right.
COVID
But also, but people with the vaccine also get COVID.
That's true. Nicolas Zule was vaccinated and he tested positive.
And he had it a year ago. He had it previously. He is just the COVID magnet.
He's a COVID magnet. He's out partying all the time.